The CIA has admitted 7 coups, but historians estimate the United States has overthrown or attempted to overthrow at least 50 different governments since 1945. And they use the same regime change playbook every single time. The regime change playbook is a set of tools used to weaken or overthrow a government without needing conventional military intervention. It has been applied to Iran, Iraq, Syria, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Chile, always with the same goal: to install or maintain a government that will align with US economic interests, aka that will allow US corporations to extract from them. Every country who has experienced this tyranny had something that the United States wanted. Today, the flavour of ice cream is Greenland, Venezuela, Iran. But nobody is safe from the imperial strategy, so you need to be able to recognise the regime change playbook. Step 1, the first tool, is sanctions. This is economic warfare. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo admits this. This is a quote from him. "Things are much worse for the Iranian people with US sanctions, and we are convinced that will lead the Iranian people to rise up and change the behaviour of the regime." This is an explicit admission that US sanctions are designed to cause enough suffering that the population rises up internally and revolts. Most people don't see the sanctions. We deliberately don't get taught this part of the history. All you see is the effect of the sanctions when the target country starts to dissolve into chaos. You are never told, actually, we first caused this distress. So how do sanctions work? The first mechanism is SWIFT. SWIFT stands for Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It is the global messaging payment system. How SWIFT became so important to international finance is a whole other video. But cutting a country off from SWIFT freezes its ability to do any international trading at all. Iran was excluded from SWIFT in 2012. Everyday workers, small business people in Iran are not allowed to trade with Azerbaijan or Pakistan because of something that the Americans on the other side of the planet don't like or want from them. The next mechanism for sanction that the West has placed on Iran is blocking its ability to sell its oil. In November 2018, the US barred other countries from buying Iranian oil. Oil exports are 80% of the Iranian state revenue. The third mechanism of sanctions is central bank designation. On the 20th of November 2019, the US government designated Iran's central bank under counter-terrorism authority. This makes any transaction that anybody has with Iran's central bank a potential terror crime. Yesterday, 12th of January 2026, Trump's latest tariff threat. Any country engaging in business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will incur a 25% tariff on all transactions involving the United States of America. This forces other countries that had no involvement or interest in this to now choose between the United States and Iran. You can't be talking to her if you're still talking to me. Like, are you in high school? Really? China rejects this. Statement yesterday from the Chinese embassy said China will take all necessary measures to safeguard its interests and oppose any illicit unilateral sanctions and long-arm jurisdiction. China is saying, get the fuck out of our back garden. Economists at the University of Tehran are now predicting that by March this year, inflation in the country will be over 54%. Internal politics in Iran are very complicated. But if you can understand that it was traditional bazaar merchants that originally and historically backed the Islamic State, these are the ones who bankrolled the 1979 revolution. For decades, they stayed loyal to the Islamic Republic in exchange for elevated economic access. That deal collapsed under two forces, both of them orchestrated by the Americans. The first was when the US cut them off from SWIFT. That blocked these merchants from selling their oil. The second pressure is a little bit more complicated. Professor Nadir Habibi looked at policies from 2005 to 2013, and they have been able to prove the systematic and slow transfer of power from the merchants to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. One example is Katem al-Anbiya. This is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps construction company. Any time that an international company abandoned a project because of sanctions, the IRGC stepped in. By 2007, it owned over 800 corporations and had completed over 1,500 projects. Habibi also looked at state appointments. And by July 2011, 12 government ministers had come from IRGC. And they privatized 2,000 previously public enterprises. And this creates over $140 billion. None of this money went to independent private contractors either. It all went to IRGC affiliated firms. Then the state banks were ordered to give IRGC loans. And between 2005 and 2011, commercial bank debt to the Iranian Central Bank increases 12-fold. The Islamic Republic has by now done to their country what every other blind technocrat in the world has done to theirs and sold it out. The Revolutionary Guards are now deeply entrenched in neoliberalism, and scholars are starting to document Iran's subcontractor state model. They run charitable foundations that are only answerable to the supreme leader. They are exempt from tax. They command over 40% of Iran's GDP. Have over $12 billion in assets, employ over 5 million people, hold up to 1/3 of the seats in Iran's parliament, control all comms, banking, trade, infrastructure, energy. A 2017 analysis reads, private sector Iranian companies themselves complain that shareholding by IRGC confers undue advantage on many Iranian companies, enabling them to win large government contracts. This is your classic cronyism model. This matters a lot because it was the traditional bazaar merchants who had originally backed the revolution for a republic that in December 2025 shut down Tehran Grand Bazaar and broke with the regime because the regime is acting like an American imperialist. This is an important moment for Iranians because when you break the economic base that is supporting the regime, legitimacy collapses. Basically, what's happening in Iran at the moment is that the United States played the long game with the Islamic Republic. And they have turned what was once an extremist enemy into an acceptable neoliberal shill. So now you have an extremely complex and nuanced situation where the regime in Iran is shitty and corrupt and cronyism and stealing from its people, and making press statements about how the United States is to blame for this for fueling economic instability. All of this is true, technically. The US has been using economic warfare to destabilize Iran, and now the Iranian regime is making it easier for them due to their own greed and loss of values. So mass protests are being framed as freedom movements. But freedom from what? You are told that it's Islamic brutality, but what's really happening is economic pressure both inside and out